In this video, we will be learning how to write names and formulas for covalent molecules. Before we get started, I would like for you to write down the following rules for naming covalent molecules and write down the prefixes that you see on the right-hand side of the screen. Pause the video, and once you have written these things down, continue the video. Okay, so we will be using every one of these prefixes every time we are naming a covalent molecule. The only exception is for the prefix for 1. You only use this prefix for the second element only. Let's say, for example, we have the following formula, S2O3, and we want to name this. We are going to use a prefix first for our elements, meaning like I see S2. The prefix for 2 is di, so I'd write di, and then I'd write the name sulfur. For the second element, I have oxygen, and there are 3 of them, so this would be trioxide. So altogether, I have disulfur trioxide. Let's look at another one. Let's look at CO, and I want to name this. Notice how I have 1 atom of each element. So when I'm ready to name this, I know it says to use a prefix and then your element here, but if I only have 1 carbon atom, I do not need to write my. So since we only have 1 atom of carbon, we're literally just going to write down carbon's name. And then for the oxygen, since we only have 1 of those, we're going to write monoxide. So the name of CO is carbon monoxide. I would like for you to use your prefixes and your periodic table to name the following on your worksheet. Pause the video, give yourself some time to answer these questions, and then you can move on to learning how to write a formula. Writing formulas for covalent molecules is a lot easier than when we had to write formulas for ionic compounds. Here, since our molecules or our atoms are sharing their valence electrons, we do not need to know the charge of the atom in order to write the formula. You're simply just going to write the symbols of the elements and then use the prefixes to tell you what the subscript will be. For example, let's say we have these 3 names and we want to write formulas for them. We're going to look on the periodic table and we're going to find carbon. Carbon's symbol is C. Since there's no prefix in front of carbon, I'm going to assume that I have 1 of them. Next I have trichloride. Chloride is chlorine and its symbol is Cl. And then we have our prefix here that says tri, which means we have 3 of them. So now we have carbon trichloride. Let's look at the next one. We have disulfur monoxide. I'm going to find sulfur on the periodic table. Its symbol is S. I look at my prefix. It says di, which means that I have 2 of them. My second element, I see oxide. Oxide is oxygen. Its symbol is O. And then the prefix is mono, which means that there's only 1. Therefore, my formula will be S2O. Finally, we have tetrabromide heptafluoride. I'm going to find bromine on the periodic table, and I'm going to write its symbol, which is Br. I'm going to look at its prefix, which says tetra. Tetra is the prefix for 4, so I'm going to write Br4. My second element is fluorine, so I'm going to write an F for fluorine. And then I'm going to look at its prefix here, which is hepta. Hepta is the prefix for 7, so I'm going to put a 7 here. So now I have tetrabromide heptafluoride. Now, after learning how to write these names and formulas do not get prefix happy, meaning you should always check to make sure that you are locating your elements on the periodic table. If we come across a metal and a non-metal, you do not use prefixes. You only use prefixes to name a covalent molecule, meaning only when you have two or more non-metals bonded together. At this time, using your worksheet, answering the following questions, and then that concludes the end of this video.